Hey, what's happening, you guys? This is Coach Joel. I'm joined by Coach Emily, and you're listening to the Proclivity Podcast. It's so nice that our first letter of our business name is P, Proclivity, and then podcast. It just has a nice ring. You know what
It
I mean?
does.
It's like Proclivity Podcast.
I like it.
Before it was a name that we cannot say due to legality issues. It just didn't ring the same. But man, is
Yeah.
Proclivity Podcast just something that just rolls right off the tongue. We're super happy to have you guys here. As you guys know, we love helping out busy business professionals. You hard chargers out there that are doing it all. You're rocking your business, whether you own it or you don't own it. You got kids, you got family, you got relationships, you got all the things going. And you're thinking back to your day when you're like, oh man, remember when I had all that energy? When my body was like that? That's what we do. We help the busy business professionals be able to create a little space, right? We're going to teach you how to create some space so you can create the body you want. And here's the trick. You're not going to feel like you're on this super restricted diet. We're going to take a psychological approach. We're going to build foundational truths. And before you know it, you're going to be living a healthier and happier life. If you think this sounds too good to be true, just look at our testimonials. The proof is in the pudding. And we're here on the Proclivity Podcast to give you all our secrets. That's what we love doing. We love giving our secrets away. Why? Because we want you to live a healthier and happier life. And we're gonna be diving in today, giving away some more secrets when it comes to coffee. Yet before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors of the podcast, 8 Sleep and Fatco.
Yes.
Such an interesting name, Fatco. Like, when I first learned about it, I was like, I feel like I should be eating it. But it's for your skin, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really rad because it's all again, we're huge on what is the quality of it. And Fatco is the quality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you been using it?
Oh, yeah. I've been using it for years now. I actually recently switched over to using their deodorant too. But I primarily before used it, like I said in the last podcast, for my son's skin. He's super dry skin from a genetic condition. And I have that partially as well. And so now I have their balm for me, their deodorant. I have what's called like baby butter in a stick, and I use that as my chapstick. It's so good.
So good. You guys check it out, Fatco. Is it fatco.com?
Fatco.com, and if you use code Proclivity, 15% off.
Boom, just like that. Get silky, smooth skin and sleep like a baby. What? We're on to something. You have skin like a baby. You sleep like a baby, right? Come on, get out of here. If you guys missed our daily drive on collagen, that is also a great way to get great skin. Add that in with your daily Fatco and some great sleep. You're going to look 10 to 15 years younger than you are right now. That's a Proclivity guaranteed. Okay, I'm not going to put that out there. Let's move on. Emily, we're going to talk about coffee, and I'm really excited about talking about coffee. One, because I enjoy coffee. Two, you came from a background of coffee. You ran a coffee shop here in Reno, Nevada. Well, you managed it, called the Coffee Bar. How did you get into the coffee bar? Actually, I've never even asked you that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Started out as a college job. I became a cashier, worked my way up to a barista, then a store manager, and then the regional manager. Since I still say they have locations in the Bay Area, in Tahoe, and in Reno. And so I loved the culture of it. That's what kept me there, and loved the quality of the food and drink served there. And I played a part in creating the menu, creating healthier options, using better oils. And yeah, I love the community aspect of it. So that's how I got into it.
And how long were you with Coffee Bar?
5 years.
Wow. Wow.
It's a good time.
It was a good time. Imagine where Proclivity is going to be 5 years from now.
I know, that's exciting to think about.
And it's all yours. That's
Mm-hmm.
the great part. You guys
Mm-hmm.
go start your own business. Like literally, listen to me. Go get your LLC. If you're not sure how to start your LLC, reach out to me. I will help you start your LLC in 15 minutes or less. 15 minutes or less, you will be a business owner. Because guess what? When you become a business owner, then you can start writing things off. Stuff that you were already going to do, you can start writing it off. We won't get into the whole business side. Yet start your own business. Even if it's a TikTok business, because then you can write your phone off. Okay. Let's talk about coffee. Let's talk about
Yeah,
coffee.
let's do it.
So let's start off with the base of it. You know, a lot of people when it comes to coffee, it's like, you know, some people are either all in or all out, right? It's like you can't have coffee because it's going to give you anxiety and stress, and you need to drink, you know, mushroom water, right? Mud water, chicory root, right? You got to get totally away from coffee. And then there's this other side where it's like, well, there's a lot of benefits to the coffee bean and the health benefits of it. And so we're going to talk to you guys on both sides when it comes to coffee as usual, right? We're going to talk about the quality of coffee. We're going to talk to you about the health benefits, how you should be dosing coffee. And maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. So let's dive into it. Let's get into let's get coffee 101.
Let's do it.
What is coffee? Like, what is coffee? Let's get to the very base of it.
Yeah, coffee comes from a plant. It comes from the berry. It's a seed of a berry, and you harvest it. There's lots of different processes to harvest it, and then you roast it. Different ways to roast it. Then you grind it. There's definitely technique to that, and then there's technique to how you use hot water to make coffee that way, and then you drink it. So lots of variation within all those steps, which can create a great cup of coffee or a poor quality cup of coffee, meaning taste, meaning health benefits, all of the things. Yet it's been, I actually don't know how long it's been used for, but typically lots of benefits to it. But we'll dive into that in a minute.
And this is, since we have you here, okay, and I got into pour over coffee maybe like 3-4 years ago. There's a big difference between a Keurig, right, cup of coffee, and a pour over cup of coffee, and the difference between a metal filter and a paper filter when it comes, and a French press. Give us just a little bit here of the differences that you know. This doesn't have to be super sciencey, but what is the difference between the different ways in which we filter the coffee?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many. So French press is going to be your grittiest because it has the least amount of filtration. You press down you put pressure on the water, and it literally just keeps the grinds out. Yet some little particles are going to still be released there. So that's going to be your richest tasting, heavier feeling cup of coffee versus a paper filter, which is going to take out some of the oils. It's going to filter out some of the compounds in coffee, which there's benefits to both. Yet an interesting fun fact, as of lately, there's been some research showing that some paper filtered coffee may be more beneficial if you have poor cholesterol levels versus French press. There's a compound in there that gets left in the French press versus the paper filtered that could be contributing to your poor cholesterol. Yet again, that's a recent study. It may work
Sure.
for some people, may not work for others.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it goes back to the paper's going to hold on to certain things versus the metal or the different processes are going to let more things go through. And there's benefits. Again, there's so many different variables and compounds to both. And usually, if you don't have the health issues, it comes down to a matter of how you like the taste of it.
So what's the difference in the taste between like French press,
Yeah.
right? Which is French press, guys. If you don't know French press, you just you grind up the beans, and ideally for the best taste, you want whole beans, grind it that day, right?
Yeah, that minute before.
The minute before, right? So you grind it, you put it at the bottom of your French press, then you pour in the water, then you wait. What is it? How long are you supposed to wait?
Yeah, usually about 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes, and then you have this little plunger that you push down,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then if you've never seen a pour over, it's this glass. What would you call it? A jar, like a glass. I don't even know what.
It's usually stainless steel, but it's like a big pitcher.
Yeah, oh, there you go, pitcher. So like, wait, yours is stainless steel. Your pitcher, or is it glass?
Yeah, there are glass, but yeah, stainless steel is more industrial.
Got you. I got a glass one. You have a child at
Yeah,
home. Okay, that makes
you
sense.
fancy.
Yeah. And you put a filter in there, whether paper or steel, and then you put your beans into the cone, and then you pour it over, and then there's a certain technique with that too.
Are you
Right?
talking about pour over now?
Pour
Yeah.
overs. Yep. So those are just giving a visual. If there's people that are just straight Keurig people that
Got it.
don't
Yep.
know, y'all, if you don't know about pour overs or French press, I'm going to tell you right now, switch over.
Yeah.
And here's
I
the
would say
here's
go
the
for
reason
pour
why.
over first.
Yeah, there you go. Go for pour over. She's the coffee expert. But here's why for me. Sure, the taste is better. That's hands down. 2, it makes you slow down.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes ritualistic. It becomes a process. You can't just pop in another pod and hammer down 4 cups of coffee, or you have your automatic start, coffee maker that is just pouring out 10 cups of coffee. Make it ritualistic. Invest in a good scale to weigh out, a good, what am I thinking?
Tea kettle.
Tea kettle, thank you. Tea kettle, take the process, make it a process. It's going to slow you down.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the 3 different processes. And with those different processes, you're going to have different taste and different health benefits. Yet you're saying start off with a pour over.
Yeah, I like the pour over because you're taking out. It's a cleaner taste, so most people are like that tastes better, and you are reducing your risk for anything that's being left behind. So again, French press is a coarser grind and more rich. You're going to get more of those grinds in the coffee, and then the pour over is just more filtered, and so it tends to be smoother, cleaner. I prefer the metal filter of pour over because one, you're not having to buy the paper filters over and over again, so you're being more sustainable with that. And then also, some of the paper filters have chemicals and dyes in them, so then you're avoiding that as well. So that's why I prefer the metal filter, much easier. But you're totally right. I love the process of pouring it over really slowly. It's a nice little ritual. You're smelling it, you're looking at it. So great benefits to that. Because again, if with Keurig too, they have the plastic. That's one, not great for the environment, but 2, like imagine the heat that's going into the plastic that's touching your coffee, and then the chemicals that are getting leached in there. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And if you guys aren't thinking about that, like if you think the plastic that Keurig is using is sustainable and healthy, get out of here. No, you're pouring hot 200 degree, 198 degrees water into plastic. It's for sure leaching in. So again, we might be ruffling some feathers here because you're like, oh, I love my Keurig. It's so quick and I can just make so many cups of coffee. If that's your process already, you need to slow your butt down and you need to start getting ritualistic, because guess what? If you're slow with your coffee, you're slow with your breakfast. You start making time for yourself was one of the things that we said in the beginning of this. We help busy professionals create space. This is one of them. When you create space for yourself, you slow down. When you slow down, you go into a parasympathetic state. When you're in a parasympathetic state, your body doesn't think that it's in a constant fight or flight, that it's being attacked. Now all of a sudden, you start losing weight. Now all of a sudden, you don't have racing mind. Now all of a sudden, you're more present with your kids, with your work. You're getting more done. All of these things. And we're talking about the plastic of Keurig right now. Yet these are the small things that so many nutrition programs swing and miss on. And that's where we're different. That's where we're different. All right. So we know we're getting a little background of coffee, guys. If you want to check it out, we'll put some links. We'll put some coffee links in there. Now there's different roasts, right? Dark roast, medium roast, light roast. What's the difference? Is there more caffeine in some? Is there a different taste? What's the difference there?
Yeah. So typically, if you go to a specialty coffee shop, they're going to do a more lighter medium roast, because in the specialty coffee world, that is better, because when you start to have a darker roast, it essentially is ruining the coffee, at least the process, like the taste of it. You're burning out a lot of the flavor. Yeah, some people prefer that taste. But if you are looking for more caffeine, the darker the roast, the less caffeine usually. So the lighter the roast, the more caffeine. Yet it tends to be a little bit more acidic tasting, the lighter the roast, and so some people, that's why they don't like it. Yet that's why I recommend get a quality coffee, and then you'll start to learn that it does taste better. And I might be biased, yet I found that to be true.
You're not biased at all, because I was here at work the other day and I was like, oh, I'll have a little cup of coffee, right? And my one option. This is the first time I've been here in a year. We've been here in this office for a while now, and I went to go do a Keurig, and I couldn't even get past half the cup of coffee because how acidic it was, like how garbage the beans were, And I was just like, why am I feeling like heartburn? And I realized oh, I'm drinking garbage coffee, And so guys, if again, quality matters. Our quality vegetables matter, quality meats matter, quality air matters, quality water matters. When you combine all of these things, right? It's like superpowers, right? You combine all of it together, and all of a sudden you feel amazing, you look amazing, your body responds, your wrinkles go away, your GI tract is better, you have better poops. Guys, if you're not having good poops, you're missing out on life.
So true.
So true. All right, so we've broken down coffee in itself. Hopefully, anybody who's listening, we've converted you a little bit to get more to pay for better quality, grind it at home, get through the process of it, right? Allow yourself to create this ritualistic process. Let's move on to the health benefits and drawbacks. Health benefits and drawbacks of coffee. There's a lot of research out there that says, hey, coffee's pretty darn good for us, right? And there's some doctors that I've listened to, podcasts I've listened to, there's you need to be drinking 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day. Research just shows. Let's talk about it. First and foremost, overall, this is an overall arching, is coffee healthy for us?
You know me, Joel. It depends.
I do.
It totally depends on the person. I would say overall, for the majority of people, it tends to be a good thing. Yet.
There it is.
It depends the person. So if you are having energy issues, if you're waking up in the morning super groggy, having that afternoon crash, if you get jittery, you're anxious, you're already in a stressed state, it's likely going to do more damage than good.
And when you're talking about a stress state, what kind of stress are we talking about here?
All sorts of stress. So coffee can increase your cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And if your stress is already high, it can just cause more stress. And it also depends on what kind of metabolizer you are of coffee. And that often depends on your genetics. You could be a slow metabolizer or a fast metabolizer. And you usually find that out through a DNA test. You can also maybe get a sense for that based on your symptoms after having coffee. Yet a slow metabolizer is going to process coffee slower. So you might have, say, you drink coffee in the afternoon, it's going to affect your sleep more, and it may cause increased anxiety or jitteriness, those types of things. If you're a fast metabolizer, you might be that person who can drink several cups of coffee or even a cup of coffee right before bed and go to sleep totally fine. So that's why I say it depends the person, and figuring that out for yourself and being true to yourself, like, oh, I'm fine. Or no, the coffee really does help me. Well, does it? Like, how are you a few hours after the coffee? How are you sleeping? How are you performing in your day?
Yes, because a lot of people use coffee to cover up all of the other things they're not doing, right? I'm not getting
Mm-hmm.
8.5 hours of sleep,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
I'm not taking time to decompress and create space and be with my food and so on and so forth. And so the caffeine itself, the coffee itself, well, the caffeine of the coffee, right,
Right.
becomes an adenosine blocker, right? So it helps to be able to put a pause on that groggy feeling. And that's all it's doing, guys. Like, caffeine doesn't get rid of it, doesn't actually even give you like additional energy. It's just
Mm-hmm.
blocking these receptors, these neurotransmitters, and going like, oh, cool, you're not tired anymore. Even though it's still there, it's there. And then when that caffeine starts fading away, boom, it punches you back in the face. And so
Right.
then that's why people go back to it again. So, okay, they'll block the neurotransmitter, but there's still this sleep pressure.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not getting enough sleep, enough rest, and decompressing, that's going to hit you like a Mack truck. And then when we're that fatigued, how well are you going to be with your husband or wife at home? How patient are you going to be with your kids? How good are you going to be as a leader in your work? Or if you're a coach, it's not going to be that great. So if we're using caffeine as a crutch to
Mm-hmm.
constantly push away that sleep pressure, eventually it comes and it bites, and it bites hard.
Vicious cycle.
Vicious cycle. Vicious cycle for sure. So we know that it depends on the individual, yet let's touch on the benefits of coffee.
Yeah.
Is coffee, can coffee be good for us? And what are the benefits of it?
Yeah, yeah. So, like you said, there are a lot of studies showing so many different benefits, specifically, yeah, preventing disease and cancer. So, especially things like heart disease, kidney cancer. There's lots of benefits to breast cancer and reducing that, and Alzheimer's disease. Obviously, it can help you feel more energized and a little bit more alert. There's a compound in coffee called polyphenols, and that's what acts as an antioxidant. So that's plays a big role in the benefits of coffee for overall health. It can help you process glucose better, um, and it tends to be anti-inflammatory. And then a reason, this is my own theory as to why it can be helpful in preventing all these diseases, is that it can feel like it increases your energy, and two, it can help with hunger cues. So it can decrease your hunger temporarily. So to me, I think of people who tend to overeat in our culture and people who need energy. And those two things may help you eat less and move more, right? Which is what a lot of us tend to need to be healthy. So those are the main pros to drinking coffee, especially if you're getting that sleep, if you're not in a chronic state of stress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know for myself, like today, I'll most likely end up at a 24-hour fast today. Um, Again, the benefits, guys, of metabolic flexibility is that, hey, if I need to, I can extend. I can extend the last time that I eat. Yet what I have found is that when I drink coffee, I have my appropriate electrolytes with element. Uh, I can not only have very steady energy throughout the day, but I also have very little hunger cues by the combination of having some coffee,
Right.
some element, staying hydrated throughout the day, and guess how many hours of sleep I got last night? 8 hours of sleep, right? I
Yep.
had wind down routine. I haven't watched TV in over a year, you guys. Like, these little things help when it comes to the having that sustained energy, where coffee becomes the boost. It becomes the extra, not the, oh,
Right.
this is my petrol. It's the only way I can survive and live, which is what a lot of people say throughout the day.
Yeah. And to go off of that, you can get more out of the caffeine boost of coffee if you were to drink it not right when you wake up. Because like I mentioned before, your cortisol levels are at its highest right when you wake up. So if you're adding that caffeine right then and there, you might not notice a huge difference of like, that boost of energy feeling. And so if you can extend that cup of coffee out at least an hour, that's what I tell people, try for at least an hour after you wake up, but even better, probably 2 or 3 hours after, around that 9 a.m., 10 a.m. mark, tends to be more optimal for people because you'll feel that boost more. And you're giving your body a little bit of a break as far as your hormone levels boosting with that cortisol. So it tends to be better for your circadian rhythm. And then, of course, if we start to push it out too far, then that can cause negative effects on our circadian rhythm. So I always recommend around that 9 to 11 a.m. mark, shoot for that and see if you feel a difference with your energy and overall feeling of having coffee.
Which comes to the dosage, right? And being able to dose appropriately. This is a drug, you guys, yet people don't look at it as a drug, right? You don't go like, oh, this bottle of ibuprofen, I don't know, maybe 15 of them. No, you dose appropriately. And when you dose appropriate with caffeine, it's an amazing drug, right? Caffeine can be so great when dosed appropriately and the timing's right. Because I'll tell you what, majority of the time that I have my coffee, it's going to be at 9 o'clock. And it gives me nice, steady energy, right? Because again, just like Coach Emily was saying, cortisol levels start dropping. That gives us a little bit of boost to come back up without going overboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yet here's the question, Coach. It's ritualistic. I wake up and I go straight to my coffee.
Totally.
And we're saying like, hey, push that back. What should they do instead?
Yeah. So personally, what I love to do is go for a either warm lemon water or a warm chocolate element. Those are my go-tos because I am that ritual person. And that's an important thing to me, is to have something warm in the morning. It's comforting. It helps me start my morning routine. And so having that is super helpful. So I recommend those. You can do a decaf tea. If you're first starting out and, you're wanting a baby step, try decaf coffee, half calf coffee. Something is better than nothing as far as when you're changing your habits up. So that's what I would recommend. Is there anything that you do, Joel?
Yeah, I moved to chicory root because it's really quick. It's instant. What I have found with the decaf in the morning for me is I don't want the Keurig, right? The quick Keurig, because of the plastic, because of the garbage beans. I don't really want to go through the whole ritual of like grind it up, so on and so forth. And so what I found with chicory root is that, oh, cool, it's a quick pour in. Like, it's good to go.
Yeah.
Yet, I have done times where I've done decaf in the morning, and that's a really nice treat as well, because that caffeine level is going to be really low.
Much lower.
Really dependent on the company that you use, but for the most part, it's going to be 95% caffeine free.
Right. Yeah. And I've tried the chicory root too. I tried so hard for weeks and I did not like the taste. So finding something that works for you that you still enjoy, give it a chance, give it a few mornings at least. Yet finding something that still is enjoyable to you is really helpful. And shameless plug, chocolate element it's where it's at. I'm doing the mint chocolate since I still have some of that. I still have some boxes left if anyone wants some.
Don't be putting that out there. Don't you be putting that out there. We only have one box left, you guys. Actually, I can literally see it in the background. I can see
Yep,
3 boxes. Dang it. That's if you guys are watching on YouTube or on our Facebook page. Okay. We know that there's health benefits to this. It can help. It can help with weight loss, energy. It can help with type 2 diabetes, neurological diseases. There's been some research on it. So overall, we're really pushing towards like, hey, coffee's good. So I know all the like coffee people right now are like, yes, see, exactly. Oh, once again, guys, if your quality of coffee is garbage and it has their process of making the coffee or how they're storing it, you're not going to get the same benefits. So it's not just like, yes, it's like what we talk about when it comes to meat. All meat is not made equal. Is it better than, McDonald's French fries? Well, yeah, for sure. Yet our quality truly does matter. And making sure that you have quality beans and your process of making the coffee is really, really important. So we know they can be healthy. What are the drawbacks of coffee?
Yes. Yeah. So again, like I mentioned, if you are a slow metabolizer, you're having anxiety, you're having HPA axis dysfunction. Some people would know that as adrenal dysregulation. So meaning you're having like you're not having energy in the morning, you're having a giant energy crash in the afternoon, you're having trouble falling asleep at night, or you're recovering poorly from your workout. These are all going to be things that you want to steer clear from caffeine, at least for a period of time until you work those things back to health. Yeah, they can increase basically all of the things I mentioned on the pros list. It could be a con list for you, depending on the person and if you're experiencing those things I just mentioned. So, poor sleep, it can inhibit hunger in people in a poor way. So, if you're actually needing to eat more or needing to eat after a workout or having digestive issues, all these things can be a negative effect. And it can, the most obvious one is sleep dysfunction because of that caffeine. And so knowing where that limit is for you as far as dosage goes is super important. Some people do great with, say, a half cup of coffee, meaning like 6 ounces, right?
Right.
Which is, under 100 milligrams of caffeine usually. Yet some people can do totally fine with 3-4 cups of coffee a day. So I ask you, take inventory on yourself, ask those questions, check in with yourself 1, 2, 3, 4 hours later. How are you feeling? How is your heart rate? What is your hunger like? All of these things matter and they're different person to person. And really paying attention to your stress levels is a big one, in my opinion.
You touched on something that I really want to come back to because we hear this quite often. And talking about, are you getting enough? Are you getting enough to eat? And what do we hear a lot of the times? Yeah, I'm not that hungry in the morning. And so, maybe I grab like a toast or something else, right? But how many cups of coffee did you have before breakfast? You woke up, you had 1 cup. Then, you read the news or whatever. Then you brought another cup of coffee before you went to go work out. Then you had a third cup of coffee after you worked out. So we're in this huge, like, we're suppressing that hunger until that caffeine's gone. Then all of a sudden there's this ravenous feeling at anywhere from 10 to 12. And now, what do we have readily available to us at the workspace? Oh, there's maybe some cookies, some cakes, some, packaged goods that have the poor oils in it. And all of a sudden, the cycle continues. And people wonder, like, oh, yeah, I do intermittent fasting. I just don't eat in the morning. No. You drink 3 cups of coffee, and then you suppress your hunger. And then when it's time to eat, you reintroduce to your body crappy foods. Am I touching on something here that people need to hear?
Yeah. Yeah. So that hunger suppression coffee can work for you or against you. Again, depending on your goals and how you're doing it. Like you said, if you're going to a meal that is poor quality, has those poor oils, especially with the sugar, if you're not pairing that with protein, those veggies, the fiber or fats. Yes, we see that quite often. There is always a right way to do it and a wrong way, and depending on who you are. And so that going towards, oftentimes we hear that we're like, oh, well, I'm not very hungry, but then when I do, I'm so ravenous and I'm hangry, and then I just go for whatever's in front of me, and I tend to not have poor decision making at that time. And so again, that leads to that vicious cycle again of that boost of blood sugar, or sorry, insulin, or blood sugar in your blood, and then that causes that energy high, and then that dip later on. So you're stacking the odds against you as far as stable energy for the day.
Right, right. And that's the difference of when I talk to somebody about, well, Joel, you do it,
Right,
right?
right.
You do intermittent fasting, or you eat one meal a day, and and I'm like, yeah, I also got 8.5 hours. I'm also dosing my caffeine correctly, right? A lot of times my caffeine is half caff, right? These things, the little things matter, you guys,
Mm-hmm.
in being able to find long-term success. It's not just this one little thing. Oh, I just need to do it like this. I just need to, I'll do intermittent fast and not eat for 16 hours. It doesn't work like that, you guys. If there's pieces that are missing to the pie, it's
Right.
not right. It's not going to work. And so that's one that I really wanted to touch on, because yes, one of the drawbacks there is too much caffeine, and then the jitteriness and the up and the down, the crash, and you're not sleeping enough, and then you're trying to hit caffeine at 5 p.m. to try to get through that last bit of work, or knowing you're going to go home with your kids and you need to have energy for your kids. That's not the answer. That's not the answer. And it's
Mm-hmm.
going to cause more health problems than it is going to
Right.
create the benefits, correct?
Right. Correct. Yeah. If you're in that state with that low energy cycle, I highly recommend. I know this is hard. Simple and easy are not the same thing. I highly recommend taking a break from coffee, at least a week, if not 30 days. And I guarantee you're going to notice a difference in your energy levels. It sounds counterintuitive, right? Yeah, it's what your body needs. It needs a reset. I do a reset every so often just to make sure my body's not getting hooked on caffeine, having those headaches, or having the weird feelings, or the energy swings, because your body can build up a tolerance to that
Mm-hmm.
caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't have the same effects anymore. And it's like, well, I personally don't drink it for the energy effects. I love the ritual and the taste of it. Yet for
Mm-hmm.
people who are wanting that energy effect, then that's something that you want to pay attention to. Is your body
Mm-hmm.
hooked on it? Do you need to take a break and get a reset?
Totally. Totally. And there are times where I do a little bit more caffeine,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like full blood. I call it full blood coffee, right? It's like not this half blood coffee. This full blood. Where's that from? That's from Harry Potter? Is that Harry Potter?
Maybe.
The
That sounds right.
half blood.
The
You're half
Half Blood
blood.
Prince,
Yeah, something.
or I don't know.
Oh man, there's gonna be people that are gonna be upset with
Yep.
us not knowing. And so, well, shoot us an email and let us know. Are we doing it right? Uh, all right, so let's talk about decaf. We've talked a little bit about decaf. Decaf is like the stepchild. Like you don't do decaf. Why would I do decaf? That's terrible. Does decaf have the same health benefits that caffeinated beans do?
Yeah, so it has a lot of the benefits. It can still have the polyphenols in it. Um, I honestly see one of the biggest benefits is it being the ritual. So it still provides that coffee ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it depends what type of decaffeinated coffee you get. And so there's different processes to decaffeinate coffee beans. And so paying attention to that process is going to be very important. So next time that you go to buy that, you check out the bag, and if it says Swiss water process, and if it doesn't say that, it's likely not Swiss water process. And we want that Swiss water process. You can ask your barista or wherever you're buying your coffee, that you can ask them too. Yeah, if it's not Swiss water process, it's typically the other ways of decaffeinating coffee that involve chemicals. So there's chemicals added to the coffee beans to take the caffeine out, and then you're getting chemicals in your coffee, and we don't want that. So definitely, if you're switching to decaf, which can be a great alternative for people who get that jitteriness, don't need the caffeine, just want the taste, definitely check out that Swiss water process. And it tends to taste better too, because that's another reason why decaf gets a bad rap, is it tastes worse. It's just taking a lot of that flavor out. Yet the Swiss water process can help immensely with a better taste.
Yes. And that is something to look for, guys. And there's a couple different companies that, whether one, like Emily said, ask your local barista. They're going to be able to tell you that. There's some local company, or there's some American made companies called
Mm-hmm.
Blue Spruce Decaf, which I researched, and Snowy Elk Decaf Coffee. They specialize in decaf coffee. That's what they do. And so they make some really good tasting coffee. So if you guys are looking to replace the ritual, or you're looking to pull back a little bit on the caffeine,
Mm-hmm.
maybe do some half calf, maybe do decaf in the morning, then maybe a caffeinated cup. These are two great companies to be able to look into and just try it out, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of times, again, psychologically, I gotta have my caffeine. It's just it. Abracadabra with our words we create. And so if you say you have to have it, your brain will lock in and say, we have to have it. It's just the way it works. That's why we take a psychological approach here at Proclivity, because if we can change your thought process, we change your identity. We change your identity, you become the person you want it to be. And so these are the important facets when it comes to something so addictive like caffeine, is being able to go, oh, wait a second, I can change the way I look at this. And that's really important. All right. So we know that coffee is healthy for us. It can be good. How much coffee on average? We know, Emily, what you're going to say. It depends on the person. But on average, what kind of like gauge can we give people? Should they be having half a cup of coffee a day? Should they have 20 cups of coffee a day? What's the thought process here?
Yeah, I usually recommend about 1 cup of coffee, to be honest, um, because once you start having more, the odds of it becoming a crutch and you using it for energy increase. So I recommend one, maybe 1 to 2, and if you're a person who is using it for energy, if you start to train your body, so again, come back down from the 3 to 4 to 5 or the pot of coffee, come back down from that, get that reset. You typically don't need that much to get the caffeine benefits. Like a half a cup of coffee might do it for you. And so I err on the side of caution with the caffeine levels because I know what it can do to our hormone and energy and stress levels for a lot of us. So I say around 1 to 2 cups in smaller cups. So anywhere from 8 to 12 ounces would be 1 cup.
Yes, yes. That's usually what I drink, is about 8 to 10 ounces, or 1 cup of coffee
Mm-hmm.
a day, and then anytime after that, I usually dose with like decaf. So
Yeah.
if I'm like, man, I really just feel like the taste of
Mm-hmm.
coffee, there's a couple different places here that do pour over decaf, or you can do a decaf Americano almost at any place.
Right.
That's something to be able to consider, particularly in the afternoons.
Right.
So as we tend to do, we like to give 3 tips, 3 things. We've talked a lot
Yeah.
about coffee today. What are our 3 tips when it comes to dosing with coffee and caffeine?
Yeah, I would say one, check out the quality of your coffee. So, are you using plastic Keurigs? Are you using paper filters? Are you using organic coffee or not organic coffee? And I know from working at Coffee Bar in here in Reno, it's very hard to get as a small farmer to get certified organic. So it doesn't always have to be certified. Yet talking to your barista or the source, emailing someone in the company and asking, what is this coffee like? Is it near organic? Is it what's the process like? That is very important. So as far as quality coffee, that'd be number one. Number two, try waiting that 1 to 3 hours after your wake up time to have that cup of coffee. See what happens. Again, if you're just starting out with that habit, try starting with 1 hour delay and see how that goes. And then number three, I would say, again, start asking those questions of yourself and then answer the questions. How do I feel when I have 1 cup of coffee at this time versus 4 cups of coffee throughout the day? Am I sleeping well? Am I recovering well from my workouts? Is my energy sustained? Those would be the big ones. So checking in with yourself and how you do with coffee intake is huge. So it's, even if the studies show, oh yeah, coffee's great, or, my friend who's extremely fit drinks 3, 4 cups of coffee a day and they look and feel amazing. Check in with yourself first.
That's right. That's right. Bringing awareness, guys. We talk a lot about that in the proclivity method. Bring awareness. Red light, green light, yellow light. When we start giving ourselves space to be able to listen to our body, listen to our heart, listen to our mind, it is pretty darn intuitive and will let us know, yes, a little more, a little less. And when we start tuning in, we start getting to know our body. So we're not fitting into a certain diet or a certain way because our friends did it. We start tuning into ourselves. And when you're more aware of yourselves, guess what? Not only are you aware of your body, but you're aware of your emotions. When you're aware of your emotions, you're aware of your thoughts. When you're aware of your thoughts, you're aware of your words. When you speak the words, you create your reality. Oh, weird. That's what we do.
Boom.
Boom, shakalaka, bang. Anything else, Coach?
I think we covered it all. If you guys have any questions that we didn't answer, definitely shoot us a message on Instagram or email us team@proclivity.co or Joel@proclivity.co, Emily@proclivity.co. We'd love to answer those questions for you.
We sure do. And if you guys are interested in stepping in to a new life, a new body, we got the proclivity method. Get a clarity call with us. We're going to be able to help you out just even in the clarity call itself. Mm-hmm. If you're like, I'm not too sure, I don't know, keep listening to the podcast. Mm-hmm. Like it. Give us a review. And shoot us any questions that you have. We're here to help.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Next week, I believe next week we have a special guest.
We do.
The 23rd. Is it next week?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's right.
Reggie.
We got Reggie, you guys. This is going to be awesome. Reggie is a super stellar coach, and we're going to be diving into some really good stuff. So check us out next week. It's going to be a little bit different time. If you tune in live, we're going to be a little bit more in the afternoon. Yet you're going to want to check this out. All right. That's it. I'm going to finish my cup of coffee.
Same.
Perfect. All right, you guys. Until next time, take care.
Have a good one.